guys, welcome back to yet another live stream. Sorry for being a little bit late, I guess. We are following the manager like Ali said. Eunice is on his way. He's going to be here in like 5 minutes or so. He was just running some errands. Was running a little bit late, so he's going to get on. But in the meantime, I'm here to chat with you guys, and you guys all know that I can talk about Chelsea basically forever. So feel free to drop me some questions and I can like try to answer them until Eunice gets on. But like, let's not kid ourselves. I know that he's who you're really here to see, but hopefully I can entertain you guys in the meantime. I see that we already have one question from Chris Wilson. Will Tuchel play Gilmour and Mount tomorrow? It's interesting, right? I think I'll definitely go more into the starting lineup and predictions with Eunice, but I don't know. I would think that since they didn't start against Wolves, maybe they'll get a chance against Burnley, and I would prefer Gilmour than Jorginho in this situation. But it's hard. I think we saw that Mason Mount really needs to start because he's one of the ones that came on against Wolves and really looks like he changed the game. He just has so much energy, you know, like I think that Mason Mount needs to play, absolutely. So going to be interesting. Really can't predict a lineup or anything like that or formation. Like who knows what we're going to see. But yeah, we'll definitely get more into that with Eunice as well. But Blues FPL goes, I took out Wilson for Calvert-Lewin FPL. I feel your pain. I feel it, honestly, because I had Dominic Calvert-Lewin and I was like, he's not performing. I need to take him out. I ended up like using my wild card, changed my entire team because I was so tired of it. Like it just wasn't working. So I was like, let me just change it. And now he scores 2 goals. And then I also had like Decorva Reed on my bench, and I had Dominic Calvert-Lewin playing. So now I have Calvert-Lewin and Bamford up front, and Calvert-Lewin blanked. I'm not feeling super confident about Bamford. I'm like, I need to change my entire team again. Like it's just it's so much pain, honestly. Sam goes, here to hear from you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Oh, thanks for asking questions, you guys. So Ali goes, what position would you like Mount to try to grow even more? Like how Cho is put as right wing back. Honestly, it depends on what formation we play, right? And we just don't know which formation. I mean, sound like a broken record because I've said this a million times, but we just don't know which formation Tuchel is going to play. So we could see something like a 3-4-3, and we could see Mount a little bit deeper. We could see a 4-2-3-1. The one thing that I do think is I don't know if we're going to see the 4-3-3, and here's why. He said that Kante was one of one of the players that he was most excited to work with, and he was trying to get him at PSG for a couple of years, and now he's like really pumped to finally work with N'Golo Kante. And again, I'll go into all of this with Younes as well, but he did say that N'Golo Kante is more suited as a double 6, so playing as a 6, like in a pivot with somebody alongside him, and he's like more free and able to like utilize his abilities to the fullest in that position. So I do think that we're going to see N'Golo Kante starting at some point. I don't know if he's fit enough for tomorrow just yet, but I do think that when he is fit, we will see Kante starting with somebody like Mount. Perhaps a Mount play a little bit deeper, but Mason Mount is also just like such a versatile player. I feel like he can play all over the pitch, really. And Eunice is in. Yay. Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, thanks so much for joining. Everybody's asking about you. I was like, I know you guys are really here to see Eunice, and I'm just here to facilitate that. But
No, thank you for having me on. Sorry about the slight lateness. You know, the slogan for the past couple of weeks have been lateness is greatness. So Matisse will forgive me for that.
Well, I'm so excited to have you on because we've been chatting for a while, and I feel like if there's one collab that everybody's been asking me for, it's everybody's telling me, please get Eunice on, please get him on. So I'm super excited to finally have you on, and I know everybody is really happy to see you as well. So I was
That's cool. That's cool. Thank you so much.
So I was just going through some of look, love this collab. I was just going through some of the questions here, but I guess we can just start from the top and then go through some questions as well.
Yeah.
So how are you finding Thomas Tuchel? That's the first thing I wanted to ask you about. Like, what are your feelings about him? What's your first impression? You know, I feel like there's a lot to go through in that aspect.
Yeah, there's loads. Because since he's come in, it's been a breath of fresh air. As I said I done a video yesterday, and I said just his aura and his confidence and his charisma has been shining through. But not just that, you can tell he's had an immediate impact. As soon as he's come in with a plan and he knows what to do. He clearly knows how to motivate these players. He clearly has, a tactical plan in his head as to how he's going to try and get the best out of the squad. So his first training session, 1 hour, and then immediately after that, the next day, one game against Wolves, and you could just straight away see the impact. His antics on the touchline, his instruction to certain individuals, his motivation when he's pulling someone aside, everything about him so far has been spot on. So, long may it continue. But from what I've heard and from what I've seen in the last couple of training sessions, it's all really positive. So, we'll see. At Chelsea Football Club, let's be real, like the honeymoon period's always really nice. So we'll see. But I've got really good hopes for him because I think he's touching all the right aspects.
Yeah, I really just love how he handled the press conference, and that's something I wanted to ask you about as well, because I just feel like he speaks so eloquently, and it makes me really excited. It's been a hard week, right? Because I was really sad that Lampard had gotten sacked, but then Tuchel has really reinvigorated like my love for Chelsea, I feel, and I just love how he talks about the team. I loved how he talked about, I want to learn from what happened at Dortmund and PSG, and I understand the role of the board here, and I kind of have set the expectations with them, and I just think he's like such a good tactician. We haven't even seen that much of it, right? But just from how he speaks, I really liked how he talked about certain players and like how we saw it, I think it was yesterday, that he used like little footballs in the training pitch to make training sessions so difficult so that in the game it actually seems like a little bit easier. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I love that. When I saw the picture yesterday, I wanted to like cry with joy because it's the oldest trick in the book, but it's one of the most effective. And it's funny how no one picked up on it, or it didn't pop into any of our heads that could be something they could do in training. But that just goes to show you his his awareness of immediate things that he's recognized need to be worked on. And being able to work with really small balls is something that you're taught when you're, playing football at a really young age. Like grassroots, you are given little footballs to train with. So then you automatically improve your control, your first touch, your passing, your accuracy, your precision when shooting. Small balls is the best for that. So when you move on to larger balls, it feels like, the easiest thing in the world. So immediately he's recognized that the style of football he wants to bring in has to be quick and has to be intense, and there needs to be speed. What better way to improve someone's first touch with a small ball? It's brilliant. No, and his recognition of things to work on immediately has been superb. But that comes with experience, and that's where I think Lampard was lacking. So yeah, it's been a really, really good first impression from Tuchel.
Yeah, and there were two players that I wanted to talk about specifically that he touched on in the press conference. I actually do have like a quote pulled up so that I can read it. So the first one was on Kante's best position, because I feel like a lot of us felt that Kante was kind of maybe perhaps being played out of position a bit. Like we know that he can play in the sole DM role, but that usually he was played as a 6 and as a double 6 and a part of a pivot.
Yeah.
And Tuchel said, I think he's strongest in the double 6, center in the heart of the game. It gives him a little bit more freedom than when he plays as a single 6. The single 6 demands a bit more discipline on the position and maybe clips his wings a little bit, but I'm sure he can play there. For me, he's a double 6, but we can use his energy and we can use the range and volume in his game, his ability to recuperate and recover balls everywhere on the pitch. So you think that we could see like the best of N'Golo Kante again under Tuchel?
I think so fully, and I loved the thing that Tuchel said when he was at PSG. He really wanted him, and we remember that rumor when it came out that PSG were interested in Kante, and we said, "No, if you want Kante, you've got to pay 200 million for one leg, and you've got to pay 200 for the other." Like, I remember when that was happening, and yeah, now he gets to manage Kante, so I'm sure he's already got a plan in his head as to how he's going to get the best out of Kante because he wanted to do that at PSG. But in terms of Kante's freedom being limited as a single six, as a single defensive midfielder, absolutely. And I don't blame that on him. I blame that on the lack of support he had in that role, because I think he can play there. He can play pretty much anywhere in midfield. We've gathered that. Under Sarri, he was playing more as an offensive midfielder, weirdly enough, more free roaming as an 8. Under Conte, we saw him in a double pivot. For France, we've seen him in a double pivot. Under Lampard, it was a bit half and half, and we saw him as a sole defensive midfielder. But when he was a sole defensive midfielder, he had to deal with everything by himself. You know, when we got called out on transition, for example, it was just him having to deal with like 2 or 3 men coming at him, and he just looked confused, baffled, didn't know how to handle it all. So if he has that support system and someone next to him that he can rely on and that can rely on him, it does help his freedom a little bit. It eases some of the pressure. And yeah, you get the best out of him that way. Absolutely. So I think he's definitely going to get the best out of Kante. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully starting tomorrow.
Yeah, I hope so. I don't know if Kante is fit. I haven't seen anything. I know that he trained, but I don't know if he's fit enough for the game. I don't know if you know anything different.
Not that I've heard. I mean, I know he's training and everything seems okay. So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. So, oh my God, we have so many questions. I want to try to get through all of them. So another player that I wanted to talk about under Tuchel, who I think could have a massive increase in their, I don't want to say like ability, but just performance maybe is the better word. Yeah. And Benjamin Buckley says, when he first started playing Werner, he was a striker and he was getting goals. Since moving him wide, he's been struggling. Do you feel he would be best used as a striker rather than a winger? But the thing is, I think from Werner, we were using him as a winger just because all of our wingers were injured at the same time. Callum was injured, Ziyech was injured, Pulisic was injured, so he had to play there. But in the past couple of games, he has been playing as a striker, and he still didn't look like he had so much confidence. And I think he looked a little bit better in that cameo. I think it was in the Fulham game that he came off the bench. Yeah. He looked slightly better, but he's not his best self. And I actually have like another quote, and I promise these are the only 2 quotes I have, but I thought they were really interesting, so I wanted to share them with you guys. So apologies if you already read it, but Tuchel said on Werner, right now it's important for him to rebuild his trust in himself and re-find a smile on his face and stop doubting himself too much. It's my job to help him with this, and then also find a position where we can use his strengths. From his profile, it is given he prefers to have space. He's super fast and likes to play on the last line, very high up, but a little bit more to the left. So he's half open to the opponent's goal and can receive balls into the open space. Can we develop movements, patterns, behavior to use this quality in narrow spaces? That's my job. And I'm absolutely convinced we can, because the guy is young, he's open, friendly, and eager to learn. So I absolutely loved this quote from Tuchel, because I think that he was addressing that Timo Werner really wasn't being used like optimized at all. And he recognizes how he can optimize Timo Werner. What do you think, Eunice? Yeah,
I fully agree. I think, especially with his familiarity with the Bundesliga and where Werner's history has really come from, and where they got the best out of him at Leipzig, and we've seen him perform for Germany. I think it's unfortunate because, as you said, with Werner, when we had injuries and we didn't have a winger to play, you know, because Werner had played a few games on a wing for Leipzig, which wasn't a traditional winger. He was just put out wide, just tactically. It wasn't him just being an in-and-out winger. So, but based on that, I think Lampard thought, okay, you can clearly do a job there, so I'll play you there. But that's where his confidence began to sink. And you can't just pick confidence up because you get put back into your position. The damage is kind of done. It takes a bit of time for you got to get on the score sheet. You got to do something for your confidence to get back up. So it's unfortunate. Some of the chances he's missed have been sitters, and that hasn't helped him. I don't necessarily think he's been playing bad. This isn't a Morata situation. You know, it's not like he's useless. Like when
It's so
Morata,
hard to reach that level of situation, though. Let's be real.
you know, there's got to be a serious problem. But when he's come on, he's had an impact. It's just always been, his positioning's been great. His run past defenders have been great. It's just, he gets that opportunity and he misses it. And that's it. So I think Tuchel will know psychologically and even on the pitch how to get the best out of him. I think we've gathered his position where he feels fully comfortable is as a left forward, not even as an in and out centre forward, but as a between a 9 and a winger. That left forward channel is probably his best. And you got to base the play on what suits him. Running in behind defenders, making those runs, sending a ball over the top or sending a through ball into his path. That is what he thrives at. When he gets that one-on-one on goal, that's where I think he feels more comfortable. But the Bundesliga is different to the Premier League. And I think in the Bundesliga, teams play with high lines more often. I think Werner finds that space. In the Premier League, if you're coming up against a low block, like we are tomorrow or like we played against Wolves, and there's nowhere to run into, all their defenders are in front of you, you haven't got a choice but to just try and innovate something yourself. And I don't think he's the strongest at that. So we'll see what Tuchel can do. If he has a way to try and get teams to come at us a little bit and create that space for Werner to run into, I think that will suit him. But Tuchel, I think, will do good with Werner. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was actually just going to ask you next, because we've seen in the Premier League that teams, like many teams, probably at least half, I would say, tend to sit back and play a low ball out. And Chelsea have historically struggled against teams like this. So I question whether Timo Werner has that ability, because we know that that's not his strong suit. So I think that that's something that hopefully Tuchel is going to work on him with, but also just trying to find a formation that hopefully helps to optimize his abilities as well. But I feel like when you have so many teams playing in a low block, at some point you have to try to adjust and get better at certain aspects. He needs to improve his first touch. He needs to try to learn how to find space, because then my thing is, I would play Tammy in those games then, and then play Werner in the other games. I don't know what he's going to do, but
it's true. It's hard. It's hard to predict what he will even do, and I think he's going to change a lot as we see game by game. I think Tuchel depends his plan on opposition more. So I think there's going to be times where we see two up front, and that will help Werner, because that will alleviate some pressure and that will create more space for him. So we could see Werner and Tammy Abraham partner a lot this season under Tuchel. But the one good thing of Tuchel, which I've read and I've heard him say in an interview that I came across a couple of days ago, when he was in Germany, he said, like, in training, he tries to put his players in the most complex situations. Yeah. That way, complex situations, and then allows the players to find a solution themselves. Not for him to say, do this, do that, but find your way out, come up with something. And he tries to develop players' creativity in the moment, because his philosophy, or part of his philosophy, and he said, is when, we're in the middle of a match, I can't go onto the pitch and tell a player what to do there and then, or how to get out of a certain situation. The player needs to think of that, and the player might come up with something that I haven't thought of, so it's vice versa. And I think this is where there's a chance for him to help Werner and to try and develop him, because Werner is still young. That's the good thing. He's not old. So he still has things to learn, and he can, develop even further, even mentally. So if there is one manager that you can rely on, I think, to try and grow that side of the game to Timo Werner, it would be Thomas Tuchel. So fingers crossed.
I trust in his tactical knowledge, and I think he knows what the strengths are of the players. So now he just has to work at, how can I combine all of these players that I have into trying to make a cohesive team that works together. And yeah, it's no easy task at all. So we do have another question about another player who has been shining recently. Yeah. CFC NYG. I'm not sure if that's New York Giants. You'll have to. There's a Giants shirt actually. So I think it is.
It looks like it. You know better than me.
Hi Liz, how important will Cho be for Tuchel? As in Lampard era, there weren't many times Cho should have started and didn't. What do you think, Eunice?
I think he's going to be really important, and I think there seems to be a German fascination with Hudson-Odoi. You know,
Somebody said that in the comments as well. Oh, here I found it.
Oh, but there we are. Yes, fair play to Karthik. Much appreciated. But yeah, but Bayern Munich going after him, and they're not stupid. Let's have it right. Bayern Munich's recruitment and the way that they do business and the way they function their club is of the highest nature in world football. But they seem fascinated with Hudson-Odoi, and now clearly Tuchel has a fascination with Hudson-Odoi, and I think it's because of they know how direct he can play.
Yeah.
And in the Premier League, you know, that you can't be as direct. At youth level, Hudson-Odoi was very direct. He'd take players on. He would be the man to link up with. He'd create 1-2s. He'd run in behind defenders. He would cause all sorts of havoc. But in the Premier League, it's a bit harder. And sometimes that comes with confidence. And I feel like with Frank Lampard, for example, even though we all see the ability in Hudson-Odoi, I feel like there was a tendency of, you know, go out there and, you know, I hate to use a term because it's been thrown around, but it could be that, just express yourself. You know, I've heard it a lot since Lampard's got sacked, and this is like maybe that was just all he asked from the players. But
at some point, you can't just express yourself. You need
you need guidance. You need guidance.
That's a better word than what I said.
Exactly.
But
with Hudson-Odoi, I feel like there needs to be a level of confidence for him to take on players in the first place. You know, maybe he feels restricted, and even if he's been told express yourself, maybe he thinks, if I mess this up, you know. But if he has a manager telling him, no, go direct, take the man on, you can take him on. Or if a manager looks and goes, you know what, maybe it'll be too difficult, look at the options around, try and get in behind, create a link up, and maybe you'll send the ball over or top to you or something, whatever. That would benefit Hudson-Odoi even more. And I feel like with Germans, whether it's Bayern Munich or Thomas Tuchel, I feel like they know how to get that out of someone that plays really direct. So Hudson-Odoi, I think, is going to thrive under Tuchel. And I think we're going to see him go to the next level now, you know?
Yeah, so, I just got chills from your speech. Honestly, I have chills right now. It's so but I really like what we've been seeing from Hudson-Odoi in the past couple of games, but I thought that he was the one really bright spot versus Wolves. And I thought that he was unlucky not to get a goal because he was working so hard. Every time that he was on the ball, he was playing really direct, which I like because sometimes we tend to play very passively and just passing the ball. And I really liked that from him. And obviously, he hasn't even gotten consistent game time. He's been coming on as the sub here, a sub there, maybe an FA Cup appearance. But imagine what he's going to be able to do with some game time, honestly. Like, some consistent string of games. I'm very, very excited for him. And hopefully we get to see a lot of him. There's a lot of players. I really have no idea, how he's going to
It's really exciting. And, you know, this is how deep it can go, because when we had Lampard just before he got sacked, it even started to question, even myself. I was looking and going, you know what, maybe Hudson-Odoi is just a super sub. Maybe he's just an impact player. Maybe he's not good when he starts matches. Maybe that's just his nature. And that made me honestly begin to doubt Hudson-Odoi. But look, in one game, Tuchel plays him right wing back. He's never played right wing back in his life, Callum. That's the first time. And look at how he done. So there's levels to this. There's loads of levels to this. And sometimes it goes beyond us. But, you know, a manager can get the best out of a player if he knows what he's doing. So, Hudson-Odoi, I'm really excited for.
Absolutely. So I'm just going through the questions. Sorry, guys. I'm literally 15 minutes behind in the comments. I'm just trying to get to as many as possible. So we may go back and forth between topics, but honestly, whatever. We'll just roll with it.
Go with the flow. Go with the flow.
That's what we do here. That's what we do. So Somo asks, I'm not sure if Tuchel fits for the wingback position. Any thoughts, guys? And personally, I think Chilwell's been pretty poor recently. What do you think?
Yeah, he has. And the one saving grace that I have for Chilwell is he's young. He's just come to Chelsea, even though he's adapted to the Premier League. But there is room for development. It's not him at his peak. So hopefully Tuchel can, you know, get him to adapt to the way that he wants him to play. And hopefully he's not just one-dimensional. in what he can actually do. Hopefully he can adjust to Thomas Tuchel. But yeah, he hasn't been great. And there is doubt and concern that he is too one-dimensional to play as a wing-back, you know, because there are elements to playing as a wing-back that's different to playing as a fullback. With a fullback, it's very straightforward. Overlap, cross the ball, you know, get back in time, defend. It's very straightforward. But with a wing-back, you are the hybrid of a midfielder, well, as a winger and a fullback at the same time. So it's it's a little worry of his past few games, and there's doubt for tomorrow. Like if you look at his performances and the way that Tuchel want to play, if we do play in a back three, I wouldn't play Chilwell. So you know, fingers crossed he gets better though. Fingers crossed he can get him to adapt.
It was interesting when he got subbed off in the Wolves game. He looked surprised. He was like, "Wait, that's my name." Like, never have been subbed off before. So you think that we could see a resurgence of the one and only Marcus Alonso? Do you think so?
I think he'll have a shot, absolutely. And that doesn't just go for him. That goes for everyone in the squad. I think everyone starts at zero because with how some players play under one manager, it doesn't mean they're going to do the same under another manager. You know, and that's positive or negative. So yeah, absolutely. Even an Alonso that we thought was done, we thought that's it. He had that incident with the bus and Lampard. We thought that's it. He's leaving Chelsea, and look at him now. He's definitely fighting for his place back in the squad. So honestly, everyone has a chance. But even Chilwell, I think with Chilwell and players that found it easy to get picked under Lampard, I think now there's an opportunity for them to take their game to the next level, you know? So you might not see them play as much, but now they're going to work twice as harder. And with guidance of a manager that's experienced and knows how to get the best out of his players, I think there's a chance for like a Chilwell, even a Mason Mount that we know is really, really good. But even he, I think, is going to be taken to another level compared to if Lampard had stayed and just played them every week, because they'll just find it really casual. So yeah, Chilwell, I don't lose hope on Chilwell. For now, at least, don't lose hope. But even for the other members of the squad, they're all going to get a shot.
Yeah, I think that that's something that is really reinvigorating with a new manager, is that you know that your spot is no longer tacked down. Like Mason Mount knew like that he was basically playing every game. Chilwell knew that he was probably playing every game. And like, not to say that they're like, Mason Mount is of course a hungry player, right? But now he knows like, oh shit, I'm not automatically starting. Like he's going to work, I think, 10 times harder. Mason Mount is just an incredible player. I think he's definitely going to rise to the challenge and do that. But perhaps if we play like the 3-4-3, we may see the resurgence of Marcus Alonso. Like, who knows? He's a really good wing back. So
he is, yeah.
You know, perhaps we will see it. We got a question specifically for you. It's from Blues FPL. Says, Eunice, you were one of the only Chelsea supporters on YouTube who was excited after the Wolves game. But do you think that people felt this way because of the whole Lampard situation?
Yeah. That was the only reason. That, you know, because I understand the emotional connection with Lampard. And there are a lot that I felt carried that into the Wolves game because it had only just happened. Yeah. So that was still something to get over. But with the fact that, you know, the first half an hour of that Wolves game, we were electric and it looked amazing, but we did drop. I'm not saying it was the perfect game, but what I'm saying is there was progress and there was a desire and there was a hunger there. And there was something, you know, besides from the fact that we were playing against a Wolves team that didn't just park the bus, they brought their training ground and they put their whole, you could say they parked the Molineux at Stamford Bridge. It's, you know, you have to take that in consideration. But alongside that, yes, we dropped a little bit. That doesn't mean it was a bad game. There was progress there, and there were elements to that game where we saw there were players there that we saw had, you know, played a lot better than they did, you know, prior. But a lot of people, I think, were just still hungover on the whole Lampard sacking. Whereas now, I think for tomorrow, you're going to see a much more positive reaction. Hopefully it goes well. Fingers crossed we win.
And I think like another point to make, kind of going off of that, is like the whole Lampard thing happened, and also they like didn't have any time to prepare because they had the training session moved. It was like kind of handled by, I think, Joe Edwards.
Joe Edwards and Anthony Barry.
Yeah, so they handled the training session. You have 1 hour under Tuchel, and then you have to go play. And I can imagine for us fans, it was so emotional seeing Lampard leave. Imagine playing under him; it must have been so difficult. And then you have Wolves, who were just sitting back, leaving 10 men behind the ball, as you said. So it was a tough game, but I'm hoping now with like a full training session, a couple of days with Tuchel, the energy is a little bit better. We start seeing the players more vibrant, and they start understanding a little bit more what their roles are, because I'm sure that Tuchel is going to have an idea going into this game. So Absolutely. We got another question from Ali. She says, do you feel Pulisic has lost confidence with how often he was played out of position, the same as Werner? So I'll kind of like touch on it, and then I'll bring it to you. So I think the whole team like definitely lost confidence, because when you're losing so many games, it's so hard to be confident. So then I feel like there were only certain players, I think Mason Mount, Callum, Thiago Silva were probably the only 3 that I could say really looked strong recently. And everybody else just looked like they lost a lot of confidence. Pulisic being one of them, because we've seen how good his form is after Project Restart. And I think we're all just comparing. That form was just electrifying. He could have been one of the best wingers, if not the best winger in the Premier League, I think, if he continued on that form. So we're all comparing him to like the Project Restart version, and he just hasn't been up to par. So why do you think that's been?
I think with Pulisic, and as you said, I think it's a collective. It wasn't just one player. You could see many, game by game, just began to deteriorate even more. You know, you have to remember, during those last 7 Premier League games we had, 5 of them we lost. So that's going to affect everybody. But as you said, there are players there that you could see were happy to just keep going with Lampard, and there were players there that just, whether it was personally with him or just with the results and just the way that we were playing, players will dip in confidence. So Pulisic, you know, we have to remember Pulisic is young as well. And
we always forget he just turned 22. And exactly. I feel like we group him in with like the senior players, but he's not. He's young.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something to remember. With experience comes a level of, I've been in this situation before. I kind of know how to handle it. But at the same time, with players that got the opportunity from Lampard, they're going to give everything, always, no matter what. You know, like a Mount or a Tammy or Callum. Well, Callum was already there, but part of the youth setup. So with Pulisic, no, I think you have to take injuries into context as well. He was always in and out. So he's not going to be back at 100% in full flow with confidence, games under his belt. That's going to take a bit of time. Whereas that run that we're hoping he gets is now going to be under Thomas Tuchel. It's not going to be under Frank Lampard. So we'll see. We'll see. Because even right now, I don't think he's at 100%. No. So if there's one manager that you hope can get the best out of Pulisic, is someone that's worked with him really well before, and that's Tuchel. So, you know, we'll wait and see. But I'm optimistic for Pulisic.
I just think everybody knows that I'm Pulisic's number 1 fan.
Yeah.
So I'm just so keen for him to get to the best. Because literally, I remember when he scored that Man City goal, I started crying. I was like tearing because I was so happy for him. I was like, that's such a beautiful goal. Yes, Pulisic, yes. So I'm his number 1 fan. I hope that he can get back to his best. And I'm sure under Tuchel, like you said, he has experience working with him. He knows what Pulisic is capable of. I'm sure he knows how to get the best of him. The only thing that was worrying for me, I was like, why is he playing on the right again in the Wolves game?
He did, yeah. And I recognized that. But I also had that element of confidence that Tuchel's not silly. He knows Pulisic, you know, so maybe it'll be okay. Maybe it was to accommodate Hudson-Odoi on the left. Under Frank Lampard, it became a problem because that position was available. You know, Pulisic had been on the left, and then he got shifted over to the right, where we knew he was playing great on the left. So why change it? You know, that was the element of risk that we looked at and thought, no, Lamps, what are you doing? But if Tuchel knows how to use him in a slightly different context, and it gets, you know, Hudson-Odoi's game up even further, if he feels more comfortable on the left, then so be it. But I think Pulisic will react better to Tuchel than he did to Lampard. So
yeah, that was something that somebody mentioned to me. They said, well, Callum has been playing better. He feels more comfortable on the left. So if you sub on Pulisic, perhaps you, since Callum has been playing better, you say, okay, well, you've got the left wing spot now because you were playing like stronger than Pulisic was, and then Pulisic has to shift over to the right. But I do think that Callum looks stronger on the right than Pulisic does. So I probably would.
Personally, I think so. Yeah, I agree.
You know?
I agree.
So we got another question. It's, if you could upgrade one position in our team, which position would it be and why? And it might be kind of difficult because I think we're going to see a couple of players reinvigorated under Tuchel as well. So I think it could be difficult to know exactly which positions we need to address. What do you think, just off the top of your head?
Yeah, I fully agree. It's hard to say now, because, as you said, we might change the entire system. We're going to be playing multiple formations. Some players that look dead are now going to come alive, possibly like an Alonso, like a Jorginho, like a Rudiger. These guys that we thought were finished, they might come alive. So it's really hard to say. If there's one position that I wouldn't mind, and bearing in mind, we have a new manager and maybe this might not be a problem anymore. But if I'm basing it on not just Tuchel coming to Chelsea, but even before that, it's that central midfield partnership. If we are playing in a pivot, it's Kante alongside who? Kovacic has had really bad games this season, but as demonstrated against Wolves, he looked unbelievable. So now it's like, I don't know, is Kovacic able to play there like properly or not? It's hard to tell.
I'm not 100% so. Like I thought that he played amazing last season. Obviously, he was our player of the season.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
he's just looked pretty dull for the majority of the season. So I feel like we know what type of player he is, but then does he necessarily fit that exact spot where we're looking for? Because, for example, if it's between Kovacic and Mount, I'm probably going to go for Mount. Like, I just think that Mount brings more to the game than Kovacic does at this point in time. So, yeah, that's an interesting shot. The one that I was thinking of was center back, just because Thiago Silva isn't going to be here forever. He might be here like another year, maybe, and he's already 36. Next year he'll be 37. We know that he's not going to be able to play every game, and I think that would be nice to have somebody that like he can mentor while he's still at the club. And I'm not really sold on our center backs right now. I really like Puma, and then now he's not playing, which is another thing that a lot of people are confused about.
That is true. And we'll see what happens tomorrow and in the next few games to see what direction Tuchel's going in terms of his starting 11s. But yeah, I fully agree. But again, there's the whole point of these players that, as I said, that we thought were finished, come in maybe now in training. Maybe they're doing amazing. Maybe they're all starting to prove a point. We don't know. So time will tell. For now, I don't think we can even judge Tuchel with the lineups. We just got to give him the opportunity to find what's best for the way he wants to play. So. Yeah,
I think an important point to make is when we saw the starting lineup versus Wolves, I feel like everybody was going into meltdown. It was so shocking, And I was like, don't worry. Like, this is just one lineup. He's had one training session, just one. And I'm sure that we're going to see a lot of different types of lineups in the next coming games. So it's not going to happen overnight. It's not some magical wand that you can flick and then everything's going to start working. It's going to take him time to figure out what players he has, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, who works against which type of opposition, which formations work. And I think we're going to see a lot of different formations in the coming weeks. It's going to be very hard to predict. And I kind of like that we don't really know how he's going to play, because I think it could be a surprise. But yeah, it's going to take time. I just want to say thank you to Monstar. Super nice. If you guys don't follow his YouTube, definitely give it a follow as well. We have another question from Nihar. I hope I pronounced it okay. How do you think Jorginho will be used under Tuchel? He's good. Even Pep wanted him. I'm not like the biggest Jorginho fan. I don't know if you know this about me, Eunice, but
I don't think many are. Have it right.
I said this a year ago. I like holds this win that
I I'm here, don't worry. I am still here. There we
Okay,
are.
okay. I said it on the byline, like back in February, that I would have sold Jorginho because I just didn't feel that he fit into the system that we
Yeah.
had. And I still don't necessarily feel it. Like if you're going to play somebody there, I would much rather play Billy Gilmour. Even if he's young, doesn't necessarily have the experience, at least you know that I think he has such a high ceiling that I would rather give him those minutes, because even if he makes a mistake, I think he's going to learn from them. Whereas Jorginho is already a senior player and we kind of know what we're going to get. I just feel like Gilmour is a little bit more creative. Obviously, he's not a senior player, but I think he's so mature for his age. Like I would opt for Gilmour over Jorginho. What about you?
I think there's an element of time that needs to be taken into consideration, because I think Tuchel sees a lot in Billy Gilmour. And I love that shot that we got from training today. Or was it today? Was it yesterday's session today? I'm not sure. But holding Billy Gilmour, taking him aside and just talking to him one-on-one. So I think Tuchel knows. And he even said in the press conference when he was asked if he's going out on loan, and he said, I've got 22 players and my goalkeepers. I think for 3 competitions, this is perfect. I don't need anyone to go. So he's staying. Billy Gilmour's not going anywhere. I think Tuchel has a plan for him. But we have to take into consideration that there is, time needs to be given for Gilmour to grow. He's not going to be prime Iniesta tomorrow.
Exactly.
But we know he has it in him, and we know it's there. He has a great footballing brain. I love Gilmour's ability to think quick. That's the one thing I look at Gilmour and I think he's so quick in his decision making. It's unreal. But with Jorginho, you know what you're getting, and I think Jorginho will be used in the short term. In games where we have a lot of possession, where we have to try and try and find those gaps through the middle, try and find those passing lanes. I think Jorginho will be used for those sort of games.
But that's the problem, though, like, sorry to interrupt you, but I feel like with Jorginho, like, I don't think that he's necessarily creative enough to make that space or find those passing lanes. Like whenever he's on the ball, I see him passing sideways or backwards. I don't necessarily see him passing forwards that much.
I agree. And he went into that old habit after the half an hour against Wolves, because prior to that, he was just forward. And I said it while I was doing the watch along, and I was like, this is great. He's looking forward. This is fantastic. But after you could see he kept going sideways again. So hopefully that's something Tuchel can rectify. There was that chance when Mason Mount picked up the ball and went in between the 2 defenders, and that was a pass from Jorginho. So that's where I'm saying, like, if Jorginho can just think more direct and just forget like going sideways, hopefully he can get the best out of himself, and hopefully Tuchel can notice that. But in the long run, I agree fully. Jorginho is not the one to run with in the long run. I think when Gilmour does, hopefully, I think he has already, but the more he does it, come out of his shell, I think we're going to see Gilmour be integrated a lot more. So I'm looking forward to that, because I think Gilmour has potential to become a really, really world-class midfielder. I really do.
No, me too. You said it so well. You spoke I'm like so impressed right now. I can't.
Thank you.
But yeah, I think if anybody can help to train Jorginho and just the team in general, it's going to be Tuchel, and hopefully we do see a massive performance or a massive increase or change in tactics from the Wolves game to the Burnley game, because like we know, the Wolves game, really hard to change old habits in just one training session.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sorry, what were you going to say?
We have to also remember that Burnley, I think, are going to set up very similarly, but I think they have on the back of a 3-2 win against Aston Villa, which isn't easy. I think they're going to have that confidence to come at us. Yeah.
And Liverpool.
And Liverpool. So I think we have to be even more cautious. Like Wolves were just ready to sit back and just wait. I think Burnley are going to actually try, and they're going to sit back, be patient, but I think we're going to see them attack us a lot more than Wolves did. So that's where there needs to be a bit of balance, and we've got to be careful.
That's very interesting. Yeah. I don't know. I'm nervous. I don't know what to expect from that game, honestly, because they typically just sit back, wait for a corner, wait for a set piece, and and generally Chelsea haven't had the best success in defending that. Like lately it had gotten better, and now it's just dipped again. So I'm nervous for Burnley after they have like a lot more confidence, I think, after beating Liverpool, ending their win streak, by the way. So that's absolutely massive. And then beating Aston Villa, who are also a really good team. I just want to say thank you, Ethan. That's really nice of you. Guys, I'm 20 minutes behind on the comments now. So and we're at 50 minutes, which is just insane. So perhaps I'm just reading through some things. Red Pill goes, what can Alonso do that Chilwell can't? I think that he's just like more used to playing in a left wing back role. Like Eunice said, it's different than a left back role. And we've seen that Alonso is not a good left back. He's just not. So, we do see that there's different skill traits. I do think Alonso, he has like a wicked left foot. It's very good. So.
Especially when attacking, because if you're a wing back, you are relied on to attack and be a little bit more offensive. And when Alonso can cut in and get in the box or gets on the edge of the area, he can hit a ball. He can be really precise with where he wants to put a ball. So that is something for sure.
Yeah. So true. Tahir asks, if Tuchel came before Tomori left on loan, would he still be here? My initial thought is that the Tomori loan was a board move, so I don't know if he would still be here, but perhaps he would have been given more time just to assess. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's a chance he'll still be here. I think because I think that loan move, despite it being about his development, which is great, and we saw that if he's not playing, then the loan would be good. But with that option to buy, and the fact that he was playing and all of a sudden he's not, I think there could have been something maybe there between him and Lampard, where I don't know if Lampard just didn't think he was up to it, or if he reckons there was attitude issues or something. But I think there was an element of that. Had Tuchel come earlier, I do think there's a chance he might not be going out on loan, and we'll actually see him play more. But he's got. So.
I wish that he could have gone on loan without option to buy, because to be honest,
me too.
I don't think that he's going to be one of the top two, probably under Tuchel. It seems that he's going to be relying on Silva and Rudiger. Maybe that's going to switch, but it seems that the top are Silva, Rudiger, Zuma, and then you would have like Christensen and Tomori. So for me personally, I wish that he could have just gone somewhere, gotten a ton of game time so that he's playing consistently, because that's what young players need. I would rather him play consistently at another team and then come back to Chelsea a little bit more ready with some more minutes under his belt. But like now we just don't know, and we don't know if he's going to get sold or not. Somebody told me that Milan actually might struggle to raise the funds for him, so keeping our fingers crossed.
They can't raise 30 million euros.
That's what they said, that they're struggling.
Wow.
I make this up. I don't know. I have no idea. Somebody just told me that, so it could be completely false, and I'm spreading lies on here, but that's what I've heard.
I guess in that case, they have to win Serie A and they have to win the Europa League if they want to keep him.
But maybe they'll find the funds somewhere. Who knows?
Some mafia money somewhere hidden away. Who knows?
This is getting really shady really fast, right? Ethan asks, do you guys feel like Mount could play in a similar role as Jorginho? I feel like he has the same ability, but with even more energy and character. I think he could actually play a little bit deeper. We've seen him play deeper in, I think, one game. But the thing with Mount, that I think that he also plays really good up the pitch as well. And he even said in a recent game when he scored, he said, well, I was able to take a shot because I found myself actually higher up on the pitch than I had been in recent games. And we know that he can take a long shot, which I really like. And he has a good foot on him. So I don't know what is his best position, but I guess that's up to Tuchel to decide. But I think he definitely could play in that role. What about you?
Yeah, he has the energy to play in that role, so under Lampard, those last few games, it wasn't just myself. There were many others that thought, we've got a problem in midfield. And we've got a problem when it comes to our defensive midfield role. And whoever's playing as a DM is struggling, no matter who it is, even if it's Kante. So if we're bringing someone in that can, have the energy to go a little bit up and come back and defend and assist, it would be Mason Mount. So I think everyone considered at that point, you know what, maybe we can play him deeper. And he did. He did play a little deeper. And we saw that. And he can play there. But as well as being as a proper box-to-box midfielder, we saw in the Wolves game when he did just go fully offensive. And it wasn't just him being on the edge of the area like we always see him do, but it was him going into the area. And it was him getting into positions that were much more offensive than he had been, prior. So, yeah, there's still an element of we don't quite know what is his best position. But I think it goes back to the point I made earlier about Tuchel, where, there's certain instruction that he can give a player. And then after that, he has the freedom to do what's best in certain moments. And I think Mount will be given that freedom, like he did, like we saw against Wolves. Again, that situation where Jorginho gave him that pass. And he was innovative to take the ball, know that there's two defenders on either side, and just, reverse 180 and go straight into the box. And that was very clever of him. That was very clever. Simple and beautiful to watch. So, we'll see. I think he could be playing a lot more offensive. I think we might see that under Tuchel, but he can play more defensively if he has to, because he has the energy to. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So for anybody worried about Mason Mount not starting under Tuchel, I would say don't be worried, because I think that he's going to be a starter, of course. We have another question from Eldo. Guys, thoughts on maybe playing Werner and Havertz up top in a 2 with Havertz slightly behind Werner? What do you think?
I thought of this, yeah.
Oh.
I thought of this. There was, what was it? The Wolves game? I believe just before the Wolves game. I think I put that in my preview, if I'm not mistaken. When I gave what I think that the 11 could be or should be, and I was guessing. But if I'm not mistaken, I think I put Havertz slightly in behind. And that only hit me because certain comments that were made by Leverkusen, or was it Peter Bosz? I'm not sure. But where Havertz was playing as a false 9, and that looked like where he is most comfortable. So not as an in-and-out striker, but someone that is a little bit deeper than that. Yeah. So, yeah, that could offer the support to a Kai Havertz, to Timo Werner, and also get the best out of Havertz. So I think he can do it. I don't think he will do it if I'm having to guess, because I think Havertz will be playing in an attacking midfield role. But he can play there if he's asked to. I'm confident he can.
Yeah, I think if we have like 2 players playing up front, I would probably do Timo and Tammy, TNT.
Yeah, but then as well, Havertz maybe in behind both of them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we have a question from Dan George. He says, "How does J5 new contract affect Gilmour's future? And you think Kai and Mount can play together?" I don't know if Jorginho is really going to sign a new contract. I would honestly be surprised if he is still here past this summer. So I guess we'll see in time. What do you think?
Yeah, it depends. I don't know how long he has left on his current deal.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure, because that could be a financial move. That could be Chelsea pinning him down to a contract. That way, if we are going to sell him, we will sell him for big money.
Yeah.
So there could be that. But yeah, I don't know whether he's going to have a new contract, even if it's going to happen. I'm not sure. But again, I don't think it'll affect Billy Gilmour. Not a chance, because Billy Gilmour is one that I know we're going to keep hold of, and one that is going to grow. And he's still really young. And we know what he can do already. So don't be worried about Jorginho halting Gilmour's development. He won't.
Yeah. Very well said. I have to say, all of the comments are for you, Eunice. Everybody loves you so much.
I appreciate that, guys.
Thank you. He's the best. He's the goat.
Show Elizabeth the love, guys.
I'm the one hosting this thing, man. No,
I'm sure they love you. I'm sure they love you.
You're Algerian. I didn't.
I'm half, yeah.
I didn't know this.
Yeah. So I'm half Algerian on my dad's side and half English on my mum's side.
I just found out Yan is half French, and I had no idea.
Yeah, he is.
I messaged him like, "Oh, you said Paris Saint-Germain really nicely." He's like, "Yeah, I speak French fluently." I was, that's why. That makes perfect sense. Somebody's asking you, do you play fantasy? Because everybody here knows that I'm obsessed with fantasy.
I did not this season, no. I tried last season and I fell off really early, and I just knew that was going to happen again. So I'm just like, no, I'm not going to start because I'm not going to finish.
My fantasy team is doing like, it was doing bad because I didn't know how to play, and I had to like sort out my team. I thought that you could make unlimited transfers every game week, and so
that'd be no point.
My first team was terrible, and I was like, oh, let me just try to balance out the money as best as I can. And it was so bad. I had Pulisic, Havertz, and Werner. Pulisic like ended up being injured, and then Havertz and Werner didn't get started. It was so bad. I've just been trying to recover, and then I was doing really well, and then now every single player that I have is just blanking, like every time. So
you're probably one of like the 99% that are struggling. It's a lot of people. It's really hard to like consistently do well in fantasy throughout a season. It's
so very hard. And all the players are getting injured now, and it's messing up with my transfers. So anyways, we have another question. It's from Mokro. I hope I said it okay. It says, do you think Ziyech is going to be a substitute player under Tuchel?
I think he'll be rotation based for the short term. So like for the next, you could say for the next few games, whilst he's still trying to find, and why is he's still trying to find his feet, and he's still trying to find who fits best. I think you're going to see Ziyech start on the bench for a few of them. But down the line, I think Ziyech could become a key player for sure. We bought him knowing what he can do and how he performed at Ajax, which he hasn't been able to really replicate, but I don't entirely blame that on him. Again, it's really hard to find or to describe the way that we were under Frank Lampard. Like, what was our system? It's really hard to say what we were trying to do. So I think Ziyech was definitely impacted by that. And yeah, we'll see. I think Tuchel can definitely get the best out of him. So for now, I think rotation, because he will be on and off the bench. But in the long run, I think he can be a key player, definitely.
Yeah, I agree. And I think just from the perspective of the board, if I were bringing in Tuchel in, I would say, hey, we've spent a lot of money on all of these players. We've bought Ziyech. We've bought Havertz, who has been starting from the bench. We've bought Werner, who hasn't been scoring goals. And we want for you to find a way to incorporate all of them consistently into the starting 11. Because I think, why would you buy a player, for so much money if you're just going to bench them? And I think that was a problem that it came out that Havertz seemed to be a board signing, and they just said, oh, well, there's this fantastic player. Nobody can really afford him right now, so we're going to snatch him up before anybody else can get him. And then Lampard was like, well, I don't know how to get the best out of him. It's just really difficult. So I think that's going to be a job for Tuchel as well, to try to figure out how all of these players can work together and how to keep them happy, because you have a lot of players with a lot of potential, very stars in there, and they all want to be playing. So I think that's going to probably be one of the most difficult things to balance.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right. So we're hit the hour mark. I want to ask you about what do you think the starting 11 is going to be like
for tomorrow?
Yeah. Any ideas? You have any inkling? Because I promise God, I have no clue what it's going to be. We just don't know the formation. We could see a complete switch. We could see a 3-4-3 again. I really have no idea.
I haven't got a clue. But if I have to guess, because the traits of Burnley are very similar to that of Wolves, I think we could set up in something very similar. So it could be a 3-4-2-1 as we did against Wolves. It could be an in and out 3-4-3. We could even have a back four. I mean, you just don't know. But if I have to guess, I think we're going to be with a back three again. With offensive wing backs, perhaps. Like against Wolves, we had Chilwell and we had Hudson-Odoi. One of them is defensive. That's Chilwell. I think against Burnley, we could have two offensives. I think we could have Pulisic and Hudson-Odoi as our wing backs. Where they might have to defend, but it's going to just help with even more penetration, because we got to get past Burnley's bus. That's what's going to happen. So I would say something similar to Wolves, but it's hard to predict the starting 11. I think we could see Reece James maybe come into our centre-back, maybe right centre-back, if we are playing in a back three. That's a guess. I think we could see Mason Mount start this one. I think we could see Timo Werner start this one. And I think, as I said, we could see Pulisic start this one.
You think Werner is going to start, given that we know that Burnley tend to play with the entire team back, and that Timo Werner's strength isn't playing against a low block. His strength is playing with a little bit more time.
I think it'll be... Yeah, I think it will be a case of maybe Tuchel having to experiment with Werner and see what he's about now in front of him, because as I've said, Werner under Tuchel might be completely to Werner under Lampard. It just could be maybe completely different situations. So he has to be given that chance, and Tuchel needs to see it for himself. So I do think because he didn't play against Wolves, there's a chance he could fill in against Burnley. But that's my only assumption. Maybe you're right. Maybe he will be on the bench again. I don't know. It's so hard to tell.
Yeah, we don't know. It's really interesting because if we have, maybe we could see Reece at right wing back or center back, like you said, or we could see Callum there. We could see Pulisic at left wing back. Like, there's just so many options. The only thing I was thinking with the 3-4-3 is like you really do need attacking players, because by playing three at the back, you're kind of sacrificing one of the attacking players for defensive players. So I think that's why he chose to play Callum as a wing back, because he is more attacking minded, like you said. So I don't know, guys. It's like anybody's clue. I said this on Twitter that if anybody actually is able to get the starting 11 right, they should just try the lottery, because at this point the odds are pretty much the same, honestly. So if you have a score prediction, what are you saying? How are you feeling about the game?
I mean, I don't think it's going to be high scoring. That's for sure. Unless if we can break them down early, because if we do, then I think the game has to open up. But I'm going 2-0. 2-0 Chelsea.
Ooh, a clean sheet.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 2-1. Just because I feel like we're going to concede on a corner or something stupid like that. I don't know. Old habits die hard. One more question for you, because I know that we did go over the hour mark. Do you think the top four is still a possibility for Chelsea?
Yeah, big time. And especially after today's result. I don't know what happened in the other games, but Everton lost. So that straight away helps us, because what could have been a 9-point gap is now 7 maximum. Them and Spurs can't go above Liverpool. So now Liverpool are 4th, and they're dead cert 4th. We're 7 points behind them now, having played the same amount of games. So absolutely, it's possible. If we can just run up some form now, because we have to, we don't have a choice. We need to win games now. There's no more slacking. There's no more losing the way we did against Leicester, City, Arsenal, Everton, Wolves. We can't do that again.
We have a big run of games coming up,
huge, yeah,
fixtures. Huge. I'm nervous, to say the least.
The run-up of games that we have coming up, aside from Tottenham, is a really good run-up. We've got Newcastle, Sheffield United, for example. Those are definitely winnable games. Definitely. It gives us a bit of time to adjust to Tuchel and for him to adjust to our players and to hopefully get something running. And then after that, yeah, Atletico Madrid, Liverpool, Man United. So these games coming up, we have to win. We have to win them. And I'm confident we can.
Yeah, well said. So hopefully we can get the win tomorrow, guys. I'm actually pretty nervous for the game, but I'm also really excited to see what lineup Tuchel picks, because we just have no idea at all. And I want to see what influence he's had in the past couple of days to see how our style has changed.
Yeah.
Since the Wolves game. But so I want to say thank you so much, Eunice, for coming on. Honestly, it's been incredible. I can't thank you enough. Everybody seems to be here for you, so I think they already know where to find you. But if they happen to be somebody who doesn't, let them know where they can find you.
It's funny because Matisse says the same thing, and he says it all the time. It's like, look, I'm sure they all know where you are, but if they don't, There you go. No, thank you for having me on. Firstly, I really appreciate it, and keep smashing it, because I know you're new onto YouTube as well, and you're doing a really good job smashing it. So keep doing what you're doing. And yeah, for those that don't know, you can find me at Younes Talks Football, as it says on the screen, and Eunice HH on Twitter, and the same goes for Insta. So yeah, and hopefully we get 3 points tomorrow.
I sure hope so, man. So guys, thank you so much for watching this stream. Of course, I appreciate it. Like always, if you like this video, please drop it a like, because it really helps me out more than you know, honestly. And subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because that really helps me out more than you know. So really appreciate you guys taking the time. Eunice knows how much a subscribe helps. So thank you guys for watching this, and until next time, I'm out.